Hi, my name's Sam, and I've discovered that one of the hardest parts about being a creative person is just starting that project that you've been thinking of, starting that thing that you have ideas about. And I recently overcame this challenge when I created one of my biggest projects yet. The project in question is a production I like to call The Final Gathering, which for those of you who don't know is a murder mystery / escape room experience for the Halloween season. It has live actors and unexplainable special effects. I did a video on the channel going into depth as to what it is and how it came to be. You can check that out. I'll leave a link to it in the description or after this video. But anyway, one thing that's really tricky for a lot of creative people, including myself, and one thing that I found for this project was that I had mountains of ideas, idea after idea after idea, just piling up in my brain, and a lot of them were unrelated. I had ideas for escape room puzzles, ideas for scenes that I wanted to have the audience see. I had ideas for special effects I wanted to try out. All these sort of things, and I didn't really have a cohesive story or vision to connect those ideas together and drive an actual project forward. So what I ended up doing was my first tip for creative people like you and me. Number 1, writing down and stringing together ideas. Half-baked ideas are not valuable until you've written them down. I have found that when I write down ideas, they often become far more fleshed out and meaningful and actually applicable to the creative projects that I'm making if I actually write them down instead of just brainstorming and thinking. Because thinking is really powerful for just planting those seeds, but in order for the plant to actually grow, you have to nurture it and water it, and I think that one of the ways that you do that is actually writing it down and thinking about how these ideas can connect to the overall creative vision that you have. This is something that really helped me, and I think it can really help you too. After I had written all these ideas down, I had a much more clear and fleshed out vision of what I wanted the final gathering to be. So I started working on the script. Now this is where I get to a part that a lot of creative people oftentimes fear. This is the most intimidating part, whether it's writing and looking at the blank page or any other creative discipline, just starting, after the ideas phase, getting into that, okay, I'm going to actually sit down and work on this phase. That's where a lot of creative people fall off. And here is my advice to you. Get obsessed. Now, this is easier said than done and might sound a little bit strange, but if you can get to a point where when you aren't working on your creative project, you're still thinking about it, and then in your free time, all you want to do, every nugget of free time that you get, you want to be working on your creative project, and you force yourself to work on it, and you force yourself to think about it, and you get into this obsessive mindset, healthily obsessive mindset, right? Then you get to a point where your fears and your doubts just start to go away, and you just create just to create. And this is really what creativity should be anyway. So you'll get into this mode where you can just crank things out. Now, this is what happened to me with the script. I didn't care. I just sat down, wrote, and when I wasn't able to write, I was thinking about what I would write next, what this scene was going to be, how I wanted the emotions to be, what kind of atmosphere was I after for the audience, that sort of thing. I was thinking about it all, and then every nugget of free time that I had, I was working on it and writing it. The script was 28 pages long. I finished it in 4 days. So there's that. If you can get obsessed, you will be able to achieve greatness through your creativity, and you won't look back. All right, so I had my script. The only problem was the script was full of characters with no faces or voices and other roles and jobs that had no names attached to them. So this brings me to my third point for creative people like you and me to help start. Number 3, recruit and/or get others excited. Now this is really scary and intimidating, at least for me. Going out and asking these people, can you be an actor for this show? Can you memorize lines and perform in front of an audience for me? Here's this 28-page script. Can you do it? That's an intimidating thing to ask, even of people that I'm really close to, people that I'm really good friends with. That's a scary thing to ask. But I got out of my comfort zone and I went and asked these people. And, you know, there was some talks about money, all that sort of thing. And it's kind of scary, but what this ended up doing for me was it added accountability to what I was creating, because other people were now reliant on me following through with the project and the vision that I had in mind. That motivated me, or it obligated me really, to finish and see through the project, because I had a crew of people that were dependent on me finishing what I had started. So this can be a really helpful tool in figuring out, in getting that project to a finished point, is getting other people involved. Now, if that's not really possible for your creative needs or your discipline, whatever it be, there are other ways to do this. So I'd like to share a story about a meeting that I had with my crew. Once I had assembled my crew, asked all these people. I had gotten some no's, by the way, but that's the worst that they're gonna say is no, and this sounds like a weird project, but you don't listen to that, right? You get the yeses, you get the nos, you move on. It's great. But I got a lot of yeses because I have great friends, so I organized a meeting with them. And this meeting was essentially a rundown of what I wanted the final gathering to be. So this meeting went really well, and if you have people on your team, this is something that I'd really recommend you doing, to get everybody on the same page. But if you don't have people on your team, listen to this next part, because this is where it gets really interesting. After the meeting, me and 3 other guys in the crew, so just 4 of us out of, I think, the 12 that we had at the meeting, just 4 of us went out to lunch afterwards. And at this lunch, we were still talking, and we were talking not really as the boss or the director that I saw myself as, at least for this project, but we were all equals, we were all friends, and we were just talking. But we were talking about the final gathering. And we were all talking about how excited we were to pursue it, and how excited it made us feel that we were all part of this big project that we all thought was really cool. And so that really helped me psychologically to be like, okay, I need to get down and get busy and get to work on this project, because there are other people who are excited about it, genuinely excited about it. So even if you can't recruit other people for your creative works, you can at least tell other people about it and try to get them excited about it, because if they're excited about it, you don't want to let these people down by giving up. It's another obligation to want to finish your project, and it will overall reward you creatively even more, because you'll be more motivated, and then when you eventually do get that project out, you'll have people to bring it out too. So that's another thing that really helped me see this project through, and even just start this project in the first place. So there's that. Now I had the story, the script, I had my crew, and things were starting to get overwhelming. This is a 3-hour-long event that I had to plan in about a month, and I had 12 people that I had to coordinate with, and I had to direct it all. It was kind of a nightmare. So this brings me to number 4 of my tips here. Number 4 is stay organized. Now, for this project, it was absolutely essential, and I am willing to bet that for pretty much any other creative projects, it is very, very important that you stay organized and come up with a plan, beginning to finish, that you are going to follow through so that you can create your project. Now, for me, this involved countless to-do lists. I mean, to-do lists of to-do lists. For me specifically, create all the puzzles, write all the different things, figure out all the atmosphere, train all the guys, do rehearsals, all that sort of thing. Mountains of to-do lists. But then also a production calendar. We had a crew of 12 people. They have lives outside of the final gathering, so we had to coordinate and do all this stuff around other people's schedules, and we did all that up front. All the to-do lists, all the production calendar stuff we did up front. And so I think that this can apply to you as well, no matter what it is. If you want to create something that is bigger than it will take you a few hours, then you should be scheduling out your time. You should be figuring out when you're going to do it, what order you're going to do it. You should have structure, because if you have structure, the creative process is much easier and less daunting. It feels less like a mountain and more like a ladder, right? So this was really helpful for me, and I think that it will be helpful for you as well. But that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been me covering the pre-production of the final gathering. I did this video a little differently. Hopefully you guys have noticed and enjoy it. Please let me know about your creative projects. Let me know, is it difficult to start? Would you have other advice, anything you'd add, anything that you disagree with? I'd love to hear it down in the comments. I really appreciate you guys. All of you have an absolutely fantastic day.